Okay, so today we are going to be focused on questions 46 to 50. Okay, so 46. What would you do if you won the lottery? Okay, so this is the second conditional. Okay, so I teach this in level intermediate, which is the level that we're doing now, pre-inter conversation or intermediate conversation. So what would I do? Stop teaching immediately, obviously, or well, I think I would like to start a charitable association in order to teach people like in underprivileged areas in the city and then outside the city as well. I would travel a lot. I would invest my money um, in probably staples of the American economy, something like that. I mean, like I'm always reading things about Warren Buffett and he invests in like iPhone and or well Apple and things like Coca Cola. Things that you'll probably never really lose that much money on, and that would grow slowly over time, something like that. And yeah, enjoy my life more, and not have to be stressed about work or money or like small little things. I would probably open up more schools around the state of Guanajuato and then try and grow the business like that then as well. So I wouldn't stop working 100%, but I would probably stop teaching, maybe go and like talk to students on a day-to-day basis. I'd probably launch myself as a coach or a motivational speaker probably is better, and travel around different countries and things like that, giving motivational talks, that kind of a thing. Um, okay, 47. What do you dislike about your gender? So most of the time when I ask women this, they say everything, and when I ask men about this, they say nothing, which is very sad and interesting. But maybe that's a Mexican thing. So I think as a man, there is a lot of responsibility. So I do think that's why younger men now, or men of a younger generation, maybe like I don't know, 10 years younger than my age, or maybe well, yeah, 10 to 15. So I'm 36, so maybe early to mid 20s. I think that's why those that age group is kind of regressing almost, and it's like an old teenager at the moment. Like when I went to university, I went back when I was a mature student, so I was older than everybody else in my class by about 4 years, and it really seemed like it was still like high school. There was no maturity, and like people weren't really serious about studying or anything like that. And then also as well, I thought that like the educational system was very kind of diluted, like watered down in general, that it was like an addition to your final exams in high school, basically. So I didn't like that. But as a man, anyway, like, yeah, once you graduate university, 22 to 65, you have to work, and that's the thing. So that can be kind of a pain and it can be very deflating. Not speaking of myself because I really love my job, but I mean, talking to the majority of men that I speak to on a day to day basis, yeah, they're really not happy. They literally trudge along Monday to Friday, and then Friday night and Saturday night they just get out of their mind with mainly alcohol, and then recover slowly on a Sunday and back to the grind then again on a Monday. So it's very, very heavy, and I think that's very sad about our society now that obviously the cost of living has increased so much that this is a necessary thing for a lot of men to do. Now, I'm speaking really from my experience in Mexico. It's not the same really in Ireland because everything is kind of split down the middle. But then I think in Ireland then as well, it is so expensive to live that now it's probably it's kind of sad that men and women both have to work. So then maybe there are kids being raised by maybe nannies or a childminder or like an aunt or a cousin, and then it's less time with your parents, which obviously has kind of a social effect then as well. Not saying that obviously women have to stay at home with the kids, but I do think that nobody can raise their own children like a mother or father. You need that kind of special connection, and it's really the best investment that you can ever do. Or yeah, to do is like to invest time in kids. That's all they really need. Okay, what things are you proud of or ashamed of being a Mexican? Okay, I'm not Mexican. I'm Irish, so well, I really love living in Mexico and I really love Mexicans in general. But some of the things that I'm proud of is that they're very, very hardworking. They work hard, not smart. I would say that. Yeah, they work their asses off, but nobody has taught them on how to be productive or efficient or punctual. So then obviously that bleeds down then along in the system. So I am kind of ashamed of that they're not punctual ever. And in Ireland it's a very, very punctual society. So then, yeah, like I mean, I'm proud that they work so hard, but then kind of ashamed that nobody has taught them to like value education or value punctuality because it's so important. And I tell a lot of people in my courses then as well is that like it's not a coincidence that I don't know Americans, Germans, Japanese, they're all obsessed with time and they have to be on time all the time. So it's one of the things. Proud about things being an Irish person. Okay, so I'm very proud about my culture. Mm, especially like Irish people's contribution to literature. So basically, really, after William Shakespeare, everything else is Irish. All the good ones. I always say as a joke here that like the English invented the language and we made it beautiful. So I really like that. So yeah, I think very proud of my culture and my history then as well that we like fought for independence and we got it. The majority of it anyway. The teddy bear's head and all of that. And then ashamed. I think I don't know. I think there is almost like a little bit of a residual slave mentality with some Irish people that they're very accepting of a shit sandwich from the government, or they don't protest enough, or they don't stand up for themselves enough. Because I do know that, for example, in France and things like this, they're protesting every week about something they're not happy about. So I wish that Ireland or Irish people in general were a little bit more rebellious. And then at the same time, whenever I'm talking to my friends who are still in Ireland, they're very kind of spoiled. They kind of have this first world mentality where, like, living in Mexico and watching people that have real problems, and then talking to my friends in Ireland, it's kind of like, oh, will you ever just shut up and think about how lucky you are in general? So I think that's a negative then about some Irish people that I talk to then as well, is that they are kind of spoiled and they really don't have any serious problems. That's the thing. So interesting, yeah. 49, what things amaze you about the world? Okay, I talked about this in the previous video, but obviously ancient architecture and design, engineering, ancient farming, I think is really amazing then as well. When you're talking about like ancient empires and these enormous battles of like the ancient Persians versus the Greeks, where it's tens of thousands of people hacking each other to death, it's incredible to think that that has happened. Or even like the sorry, I'm listening to a lot of history at the moment and reading as well. So when you're looking at the life of Genghis Khan then as well, it's really amazing how just his life in general is just mind blowing. It really is. Then what else? I think music, art, true expression by geniuses really, is really mind blowing because I don't really have that myself. Some works of literature then as well that really you'd have to read them 3 or 4 times to really be able to absorb every single part of them. So I really, really love that. And then I suppose you could interpret this question in a negative way then as well, is that like some of the horrors that people can do to other people are really, really shocking. So even simple little things, we're not talking about like obviously things like the Holocaust and that kind of stuff, but not getting that extreme, just little everyday little things. Like I can't stand when I see somebody talking badly to someone in a lower position than them because they have an ego or something like this. Even like going to a restaurant and someone talking badly to a waiter, I really think there's nothing worse than that. It's absolutely horrible. There's no better screenshot or how would you say? There's no better way to see who a person really is than when they're talking to somebody that can't help them or when they're in a position of power. So if I see someone talking badly to a waiter or a waitress, it's really, that person is a piece of shit in my opinion. Yeah, they're absolutely horrible. So I think it's a really difficult job, so I think you should treat everybody with respect. Even if they talk to you badly, you should treat them with respect because obviously they're going through their stuff and maybe they're not a very nice person or their life is shit. But still, yeah, I think that's a big pet peeve that I have. A big red flag for me is that if I see somebody talking badly to someone else, then I'm done with that person. And number 50, where would you not like to visit in the world and why? Well, obviously, any place that's in war now or something like that. Syria looked really nice until it got this shit bombed out of it. So obviously, I would like to visit pretty much anywhere in the world. There's nowhere that I wouldn't go. I wouldn't be picky or like you hear all these racist comments about China because like the pandemic apparently started there, and there's been 3 pandemics from Wuhan in the history in modern history. But no, I wouldn't. I would go to China. I'd explore around the place, see what it's like, because it was the same when I wanted to come to Mexico. Everybody that I talked to were like, "Oh my God, did you hear about this news story? They found a bucket of heads on the side of a mountain and blah, blah, blah. All this kind of crazy stuff, like Quentin Tarantino kind of stories. But in general, I don't think you should really let one negative comment kind of spoil everything. Don't paint them all with the same brush, because the way I thought about Mexico is that, like, yes, it is a dangerous country. Obviously, it's nothing like Ireland. But how can 126 million people live here? So that's the thing. And obviously, there's nothing positive that's exported from Mexico, which is the very scary thing, is that when you go to Holland and Ireland and Spain, and you never hear anything positive coming out of Mexico, really, or it's 1 in 100 stories. So that's also another thing to think about then as well. And it's just not true. So really, I mean, I will go anywhere and explore around the place, and I really think that 90% of people are really nice, lovely people, when you get to know them. And that's the thing. And sometimes people can get very, very deflated or downtrodden or very bitter about that, and they can think like, oh no, all of these people in China are, I don't know, like horrible people, or people in, I don't know, Germany are really boring, or all these kind of stupid little stereotypes, until people actually go there and explore around the place. So anyway, so we're at 50. Yes, so we are 25% of the way through. We have up until 200, and this was another 5 questions for today. We're at 11 and a half minutes, more or less. So thanks as always. Enjoy your day, and subscribe, like, comment if you would like, and thank you again. Bye bye.